There comes a time in life when you are no longer the strong one, no longer the provider, no longer the one people fear or respect. The years weigh heavy on your shoulders. Your strength fades, and you start to see the truth about those around you. And let me tell you something. There are people you must never help in your old age. Not because you've grown bitter, but because wisdom demands it. Not because you lack compassion, but because God did not call you to be a fool. Some of you will reach the end of your years and realize you have spent your life giving to those who only took. You sacrificed for the ungrateful. You bled for the selfish. You wept over the foolish. And when you needed just a fraction of that love in return, you found yourself abandoned, manipulated, or drained dry. You see, not everyone deserves your help, and if you don't learn this now, you will learn it in the cruelest way possible when it's too late to take it back. So listen to me today, not just with your ears, but with your soul, because what I am about to tell you may save you from deep regret. It may save you from spending your final years in sorrow, wondering why you gave everything to people who gave nothing back. And above all, it may help you leave behind a legacy that honors God rather than one wasted on the undeserving. There are people in your life who only valued you when you were strong. They stood by you not because they loved you, but because they needed something from you. They smiled when you were useful, praised you when you provided, and walked beside you when it served their interests. But let me tell you something. When the years slow you down, when your hands can no longer build, when your strength fades, these same people will turn their faces away, and if they do come back, it will not be to help you, it will be to take from you. You must understand this now, because the world is full of those who do not love, only use. They watch you, waiting for the moment when your defense is lower. And when you are old, when your body is weary and your mind begins to slow, they will come, not to repay kindness, but to see what they can get before you are gone. Do not be deceived. If a man despised you in your strength, he will exploit you in your weakness. Some of you have spent your life providing, giving, sacrificing. You worked when others were sleeping. You fought battles so that others could have peace. You denied yourself so that someone else could have more. And for years you did not stop, because that is who you are. You were the strong one, the reliable one, the one who held everything together. But let me ask you, where were they when you needed encouragement? Where were they when you carried burdens too heavy to bear? They were nowhere. And yet, in your old age, they will suddenly appear, not to give, but to take. Some of you are growing older now, and you're starting to see it. The ones who mocked you, the ones who ignored you, the ones who never showed up when you were struggling, now they call, now they visit, now they act as if they have always cared. But watch closely, because their words are not backed by love. They do not come to see if you are well. They come to see what they can get before your time is up. They do not come with honor, they come with open hands, expecting something from you. There are people who will pretend to love you, but love is not in their hearts. They see your old age as an opportunity, not a time to show gratitude. They will act concerned, but what they truly want is your resources. They will speak words of affection, but their hearts are full of selfishness. These are the ones who will drain you, who will take what you spent a lifetime building and squander it in an instant. Do not be deceived. You might say, but I am their family. I have known them for years. Surely they have changed, my friend. Wisdom is not in assuming the best about people. Wisdom is in seeing the truth. If they did not value you and your strength, if they dismissed you when you had nothing to offer, why would they now suddenly care when you are weak? The truth is, they don't. They only care about what they can take from you before it is too late. And I know some of you will struggle with this. You will say, but I am called to help. I cannot turn them away. Let me tell you something. Not everyone who asks deserves an answer. Not everyone who comes deserves a gift. You are not called to be used, manipulated, or deceived. You are called to be a steward, to guard what God has given you, and to use it wisely. Do not throw your pearls before swine. Do not waste what you have built on those who will destroy it. I have seen too many good men and women spend their final years in sorrow because they gave everything to those who gave nothing back. They trusted when they should have been cautious. They handed over their wealth, their homes, their resources, believing it was an act of love. only to watch the ungrateful consume it and leave them with nothing. And when they had nothing left to give, those same people vanished, moving on to find someone else to exploit. This is why I tell you, be wise. Look at the fruit of their lives. Look at how they treated you when you had nothing to offer. Were they there? Did they stand by you in hard times? Did they honor you when you had no resources to give? If not, then do not give them what they never valued. Your old age is not a time for regret. It is not a time to be drained by those who never cared for you. It is a time to be surrounded by those who truly love you, by those who honored you in both your strength and your weakness. And if you do not know who those people are, I'll tell you how to find them. They are the ones who stood beside you when you had nothing. They are the ones who spoke words of encouragement when you were weary. They are the ones who never asked for anything but were always willing to give. These are the ones who deserve your help in your old age, not those who ignored you, dismissed you, and now return only because they see an opportunity. You have spent your life being strong. Do not let your final years be stolen by those who never valued you. Be wise, be discerning, and above all, be faithful to what God has given you, using it in a way that honors Him, not in a way that rewards the selfish. There are people in this world who will never be satisfied no matter how much you give them. You could spend your whole life sacrificing for them, pouring out your energy, your time, your resources, and still it would not be enough. They will never say thank you. They will never stop asking for more. And if you are not careful, you will find yourself drained, empty, and wondering where all your years went, because you spent them trying to satisfy those who could never be satisfied. You must understand something. The ungrateful are not just indifferent, they are dangerous. They take without thinking, they consume without care, and they will come back again and again, not because they love you, but because they see you as a well that never runs dry. But let me tell you the truth. If someone has spent their whole life taking from you without gratitude, without respect, without honor, they will not change when you are old. They will only become worse. Some of you already know this because you've lived it. You have people in your life, maybe family, maybe friends, maybe people you once called close, who have never truly appreciated you. They took your kindness for granted. They expected your generosity as if it were their right. And now, after years of giving, you have begun to see it clearly. No matter how much you do for them, they do not change. They do not become thankful. They do not become better. They only demand more. And the older you get, the more vulnerable you become to these kinds of people. Because as your strength fades, as your ability to work and fight and build diminishes, they know you can no longer resist them the way you once did. They know you cannot afford to fight off their selfishness the way you once could. So they will come with smooth words, with false affection, acting as if they have suddenly realized your value. But listen to me. If they did not value you when you were strong, they do not value you now. If they did not appreciate you when you had the power to say no, they do not appreciate you now that you are weaker. Some of you have children or relatives or so-called friends who fit this description, and you are wrestling in your heart because you feel an obligation to help them. You think, but I have always provided. I have always been the one to carry the burden. How can I stop now? And I will tell you how. By recognizing that continuing to give to the ungrateful is not love, it is not kindness, it is not mercy, it is enabling sin. You are not called to reward ingratitude. You are not called to feed the selfishness of others. You are not called to let people walk over you just because you are older and weaker than you once were. If someone never learned to appreciate you, if someone has spent their life taking from you with no regard for your sacrifice, then hear me now. You do not owe them anything. And some will call you cruel for this. Some will say, but isn't love about always giving, always forgiving, always helping? And I will tell you, love is not about being foolish. Love is not about feeding entitlement. Love is not about rewarding the wickedness of others. Do you think it is love to let someone take advantage of you? Do you think it is love to let someone drain you until you have nothing left? No, that is not love. That is slavery. Look at the patterns of their life. Have they ever given back to you? Have they ever lifted a hand to help you? Have they ever done anything for you that was not tied to their own benefit? If not, then why do you still allow them to pull from you? Why do you still feel obligated to pour into a cup that has never once been lifted to bless you in return? You must understand something. The people you allow to take from you in your old age will determine how you spend your final years. If you surround yourself with the ungrateful, you will spend your last days in sorrow, watching everything everything you built wasted on those who never cared for you. But if you choose wisely, if you give to those who have honored you, respected you, loved you, then your final years will be filled with peace. This is why I tell you now, stop giving to those who do not appreciate you. Stop helping those who only see you as a resource. Stop pouring yourself out for those who never once stopped to consider your worth. Because the truth is, they will not stop. They will take and take and take until you are gone. And when you have nothing left, they will move on without a second thought. But you still have time. You still have a choice. You can decide right now that your final years will not be spent on the ungrateful. You can decide right now that you will invest in those who truly love you, who truly honor you, who have stood by you, not just when you had something to offer, but when you had nothing to give. Because when it's all said and done, the ungrateful will not remember you. They will not cherish your sacrifice. They will not weep at your passing. But the ones who truly loved you, the ones who saw your worth from the beginning, they will remember, they will honor you, they will bless you, and that is where your help should go. Not to the ones who only ever took, but to the ones who always gave, even when they had nothing to gain. There will come a time in your life when the past will be rewritten, not by you, not by truth, but by those who want to control you. They will twist your history, distort your sacrifices, and make you believe that you owe them something that was never theirs to claim. They will not remember the nights you went without so they could have. They will not recall the times you bled so they wouldn't have to. No, they will tell a different story, one where you were never enough, one where you failed them, one where they deserve more from you than they ever gave in return. And if you are not careful, if you do not stand firm, they will make you believe it. Because when you are old, when your strength is gone, when your mind is weary, you will be vulnerable, you will second guess yourself. You will begin to wonder if maybe, just maybe, they are right. Maybe you didn't do enough. Maybe you were not the provider you thought you were. Maybe you should give them more, help them more, sacrifice again to make up for what they claim you lacked. But listen to me, the wicked will always try to rewrite history to justify their selfishness. They cannot stand to acknowledge the truth because the truth condemns them. It exposes their laziness, their entitlement, their lack of gratitude. And rather than change, rather than repent, they will simply change the narrative. They will tell themselves that you were the problem, that you owe them, that it is your responsibility to make things right, even when there is nothing to make right. Some of you already know this because you have seen it happen. You raised children who turned against you. You gave to family members who never once gave back. You sacrificed for people who, instead of thanking you, now blame you for their failures. And the most painful part, you start to wonder if they're right. You start to carry a guilt that was never yours to bear. But let me tell you something. Do not let liars rewrite your story. Do not let the ungrateful manipulate you into believing you were anything less than what you were. You were not perfect, but you were faithful. You did not always have much, but you gave what you could. You were not always right, but you never abandoned them, and that is the truth. And here's what you must understand. Those who twist history do so because they want something from you. They are not trying to heal wounds. They are not seeking reconciliation. They are seeking control. They want to break you down. There are people in your life who never listened. You warned them, you pleaded with them, you told them the truth when no one else would, but they scoffed, they laughed, they lived as if there would never be consequences, as if the world owed them an easy road. They rejected wisdom, ignored correction, and went down the path of destruction by their own choice. And now, after years of rebellion, after years of ignoring everything you tried to teach them, they come back, not in repentance, not to admit they were wrong, but to demand your help. And if you are not careful, if you are not strong, you will feel obligated to give it. You will look at them and see the brokenness they brought upon themselves, and something inside of you will ache. You will think, I must help, I must fix this, I must step in one more time. But let me tell you something. Not everyone who is suffering needs to be rescued. Not everyone who has fallen deserves to be lifted. Because there are some people who did not fall. They jumped. They ran toward destruction. They shook off every warning, ignored every sign, and now they want you to bear the weight of their foolishness. And hear me now, you are not called to carry that burden. You are not called to empty your pockets, drain your resources, and break yourself to save people who will never learn. Because if you do, they will take everything and they will not change. They will not be grateful. They will not grow wiser. They will simply take, squander, and return for more. And when you have nothing left, when you are old and weary, they will not be there for you. They will move on, looking for the next person to drain. Some of you have lived long enough to see this play out again and again. A child who never listened, always in trouble, always making the wrong decisions, now calling you because they need money. A relative who wasted every opportunity they were given, now acting as if you are their last hope. A so-called friend who spent their life chasing pleasure and now, with nothing left, expects you to step in and undo the damage. And the question you must ask yourself is this: have they changed? Have they repented? Have they truly learned? Or are they simply returning to take again, just as they always have? Because if they are still the same, if they still reject wisdom, if they still refuse to take responsibility for their choices, then giving to them will not help them, it will only enable them. It will allow them to continue in their ways without ever facing the full weight of their actions. And that is not mercy, that is not love, that is foolishness. There is a reason wisdom cries out in the streets, but fools do not listen. There is a reason truth is offered freely, but only the humble receive it. Because the foolish do not want truth. They do not want wisdom. They want results without effort. They want rescue without change. They want blessing without obedience. And when they find someone who is willing to carry the weight of their bad decisions, they will gladly let them. And if you are not careful, if you are not discerning, they will use you until there is nothing left. They will take your money, your energy, your peace, and they will never once stop to consider what it cost you, because they do not care. They have never cared. And the moment you stop providing, the moment you set boundaries, the moment you say enough, they will turn on you. They will call you cruel. They will accuse you of being unloving. They will say, after everything I've been through, how could you turn me away? But do not be deceived. Their suffering is not your responsibility. Their ruin is not your burden to bear. Some of you need to hear this because you are on the verge of making a decision that will cost you dearly. You are about to open your door to someone who has never valued you. You are about to give to someone who will never be grateful. You are about to rescue someone who will only use you and walk away. But you still have time to stop. You still have time to step back and see the truth. You still have time to say no more. And this is not cruelty, this is not selfishness, this is wisdom. Because those who reject wisdom must face the consequences of their choices. And if they refuse to learn, if they refuse to change, then nothing you give them will make a difference. It will only prolong their destruction. And you will be left empty. So do not be fooled. Do not be manipulated by tears, by pleading, by guilt. Do not let the weight of their choices become yours. You have spent your life giving, sacrificing, pouring yourself out, but your final years are not meant to be spent rescuing those who refuse to be saved. They are meant for peace. They are meant for rest. They are meant for those who truly love you. So let the foolish go their way. Let them reap what they have sown. And you walk in wisdom. You walk in peace, you walk in freedom. There are people in this life who do not truly love you. They never did. They stayed close, not because of love, not because of loyalty, but because of what you could do for them. They spoke sweet words, they pretended to care, but in the end it was never about you, it was always about them. And now, as you grow older, as your strength fades, they will reveal themselves. Some will disappear completely because you are no longer useful to them. Others will stay, but not because they love you, because they are waiting for something. You can see it in their eyes, in their words, in the way they speak about your possessions, your money, your home. They ask questions not about your well-being, not about your peace, but about what you plan to leave behind. They are not concerned with your soul. They are not concerned with your heart. They are concerned with your resources. And if you are not careful, you will waste the last years of your life trying to secure the future of those who never truly cared for you. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have seen this already. The relatives who only come around when they need something. The children who never visit unless they think you have something left to give. The so-called friends who were always by your side when you had something to offer but disappeared the moment you needed them. And yet, despite everything, you still feel responsible for them. You still feel obligated to give, to provide, to make sure they are taken care of. But let me tell you something. Do not waste your last years on those who have only loved you for what you could give them. Do not spend your final days trying to secure an inheritance for those who never once secured your peace. Because the truth is, if they never honored you while you were alive, they will not honor you when you are gone. If they did not love you when you were strong, they will not love you when you are weak. Some of you need to hear this because you are still holding on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, they will change. That maybe if you continue giving, if you continue sacrificing, they will finally see your worth. But listen to me, they already know your worth. They have always known, they just never cared. And no amount of giving, no amount of sacrificing will change a heart that has been hardened by selfishness. There is nothing more tragic than an old man or woman who spent their entire life providing for those who never once appreciated them, who gave everything only to be left alone in the end, who poured out their resources, their energy, their love, only to be discarded when there was nothing left to take. And if you are not careful, that will be your story too. Look around you. Who has been there for you? Who has truly loved you? Not because of what you had, not because of what you could give, but because they cherished you as a person. Those are the ones who deserve your kindness. Those are the ones who deserve your help. But the ones who only come around when they need something, the ones who flatter you, who pretend to care, who suddenly take an interest in your affairs now that you are nearing the end, they do not deserve anything from you. Because love that only appears when there is something to gain is not love at all. And some of you are afraid. You think, but what if I don't leave them anything? What if they hate me for it? Listen to me, they already do. They do not love you. They love what you have. And if you were to give them everything, if you were to sacrifice to the very last breath, they would still find a reason to resent you. Because their heart was never for you, it was always for themselves. There is a hard truth that many do not want to accept. Not everyone deserves an inheritance. Not everyone deserves what you have worked for. Not everyone deserves to benefit from your sacrifice. And if they did not respect you, if they did not honor you, if they did not care for you when you were alive, then why should they receive anything when you are gone? Some of you need to make a decision. You need to stop feeling guilty for protecting what is yours. You need to stop feeling obligated to bless those who never once blessed you. You need to stop feeling like you owe something to people who never once treated you with honor. Because the truth is, your final years should not be spent worrying about what happens to your possessions when you are gone. They should be spent in peace. They should be spent with those who truly love you. So do not let them manipulate you. Do not let them guilt you into giving away what they never valued in the first place. If they truly loved you, if they truly honored you, then you would not have to question their motives. But if you do question them, if you do doubt their sincerity, then you already know the truth. And that truth is this: they do not deserve your sacrifice. Spend your final days wisely. Give to those who truly loved you, who stood by you when there was nothing to gain. And as for the rest, let them go. Let them chase after riches they did not earn. Let them complain about what they did not receive. Let them speak all the words they want, but do not give them what they never deserved. There are people in your life who will never change, not because they can't, not because they don't know better, but because they refuse to. They have chosen their way. They have embraced their darkness. They have settled into their selfishness, and they are content to stay there. And no matter how much you help them, no matter how much you love them, no matter how many chances you give, they will not change. And yet, here you are, still holding on, still hoping, still believing that maybe one day they will wake up and realize everything you have done for them, that they will finally see your sacrifices, finally appreciate your love, finally stop taking and start giving. But deep down, you already know the truth. You already know that day is never coming because they do not want to change. They do not want to grow. They do not want to be better. They just want to keep taking, keep draining, keep pulling from you until there is nothing left. And some of you, as you grow older, are starting to see this more clearly than ever. The people you spent years trying to help, the ones you forgave over and over, the ones you carried even when they should have walked on their own, where are they now? Have they changed? Have they repaid you with love, with honor, with gratitude? Or are they still the same? Still making the same mistakes, still blaming others for their failures, still expecting you to fix what only they can fix? There is a painful truth that many do not want to accept. You cannot save people who do not want to be saved. You cannot force someone to see their own faults. You cannot make someone change who is determined to stay the same. And if you do not accept this truth, if you do not draw the line, then you will waste your final years carrying burdens that were never meant to be yours. Some of you have spent a lifetime rescuing the same people over and over again. They make a mess and you clean it up. They make bad decisions and you pay the price. They live recklessly and you bear the consequences. And no matter how many times it happens, no matter how much it costs you, you step in again and again, hoping that this time will be different, but it never is. Because you are not dealing with people who are simply lost. You are dealing with people who have no desire to be found. And here is where the deception comes in. They know you are kind. They know you are loving. They know you feel responsible for them. And they will use that against you. They will come to you in their time of need, weeping, pleading, making promises they never intend to keep. And because you have a heart, because you cannot stand to see them suffer, you will give in, you will help, you will sacrifice, and for a moment it will seem like it worked. For a moment it will seem like they have finally come to their senses, but then time will pass and they will go right back to their old ways. And when the consequences catch up to them again, they will return to you, expecting you to fix everything once more. But hear me now, you must stop. You must walk away. You must let them face what they have brought upon themselves, because if you don't, you are not helping them, you are enabling them. You are keeping them from the only thing that might truly change them: consequences. Some of you are afraid. You think, but if I don't help them, what will happen to them? I'll tell you what will happen. They will either learn or they will be lost. But that is not your burden to carry. That is not your weight to bear. You have done your part. You have given, you have loved, you have sacrificed. And if that was not enough to change them, then nothing will be. You are not responsible for the choices of others. You are not accountable for the life they have built. You are not obligated to keep rescuing people who refuse to rescue themselves. And if you do, they will take from you until there is nothing left, and they will still not change. Some of you need to hear this because you are standing at a crossroads. You are still giving to people who will never appreciate you. You are still sacrificing for people who will never change. And you are running out of time. The years ahead of you are precious. They should be spent in peace, in joy, in the presence of those who truly love you. But if you do not make the decision to let go, you will waste those years on people who do not deserve them. So choose wisely. Step away from those who will never change. Walk in freedom and spend your last years with those who truly love you, not those who only love what you can do for them.